He has autographed it on the inside, and I just know he'll personalize it to whoever the lucky winner is this morning. So, we're going to shake these up.
Really good. She's making money off you already?
You leave me alone with them for a minute, boy, and I tell you.
Check the box, inside the box.
What you got?
Check in there.
That's what, you keep your hands up.
Open it.
I'm a slave of Paulette.
That's right. Okay. What we're doing is, all of these lovely people who came this morning, we're going to have the winner have this book. I just know you'll personalize it.
Who wants me to pick her? Angela.
Angela who?
Does it have the last name? Oh, God.
Soar?
Oh, no.
And there we go.
Oh, my gosh. First time here.
Well, I'm going to turn the floor over to this wonderful man this morning and let him talk to you.
Morning, folks.
Morning.
How many gallons of coffee did it take to get us here? The thing about a new hotel room is you dream so much. You know, I mean, it's very, and not bad dreams. It wasn't bad dreams, but it was a busy night in my room. And not for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, why don't we start with some Q&A kind of stuff. If anybody has any questions, or if they want to know about anything to do with either the production of Beauty and the Beast, or what Mystic I'm up to at this point, or
That's what
whatever.
I'd like to know. What mystic are you up to this
Well, right now, I kind of, Iron Eyes Cody was Indian actor who died recently, about 3 or 4 months ago.
Right.
Now, the minute he died, there were all these letters to the editor saying, well, he wasn't Indian, he was a Yugoslav, or he was Italian. Both of which are true, but the thing is, they were all from Anglos, all from Caucasians. The thing that I've found, oh, I don't know, do you guys know that I'm California State Native American Commissioner now?
Yeah.
Well, and talk about gifts being thrown into one's path, but more about that later. But Iron Eyes would also, well, from the Native American point of view, he was tremendously respected because he lived a life in a traditional way with a tremendous amount of dignity, and he spent his entire life teaching children. And when you live a life like that, it's pretty hard not to have people love you and respect you. And certainly the Native Americans care a lot about children and care a lot about teaching. And I learned a lot about bringing up my daughter Ty through a lot of the Native American teachings that I've been exposed to. Essentially that you don't keep going 2 + 2 is 4,000 times, but as a teacher or a parent, you create a series of alternatives. And that's where you exercise your choice for the child. You can sort of lay out half a dozen things in front of them very delicately so they don't quite know you're doing it, hopefully. And then let them choose and let them make their own choices and their decisions and have their own successes or failures. And that way they learn the first time. The instant the kid sort of sees something to deal with, they deal with it, and if they fail, they adjust until they succeed. And you can be there sort of helping them along, but that thing of sort of repeating or kind of preaching or what we normally consider teaching really isn't the Indian way. Anyway, I knew Iron Eyes pretty well when I was younger, and he was a wonderful, wonderful man, and his kids have followed in his footsteps, which I'm sure, I know he was very proud of. And the thing when Iron Eyes died, I was thinking about him, and one of the sort of amazing things about being an actor is that you kind of have, in a weird way, a little bit of immortality, in a sense that what goes on film, I mean, it may gather cobwebs on some shelf after a while and never be seen, or rarely be seen, but the truth of it is, in my case certainly, I had the rather unique chance to see my parents when they were young, walking and talking and interrelating with people and how they looked and how they moved and how they sounded, you know, and knowing them as well as I did, also a sense of who they were at that time. So Iron Eyes has a little bit of immortality in one thing that he did, among many, which was a PSA, public service announcement, that he did in the 60s, early 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Being with a tear. Now, at that point, anti-littering was like the cutting edge of ecology. You know, this was like a new concept. As a matter of fact, my sweet dear dad, who I'll talk about later and catch you guys up on, he's doing great. He was at the dinner where the word ecology was invented. And it really is a concept that in one generation literally went from being something that nobody knew anything about to, you can go up to a 5-year-old kid and say, what's ecology? And you'll get an answer, some kind of answer. It's extraordinary how it's really sort of become pervasive throughout our culture. People understand now that you have to live in balance within yourself, within the world around you. Anyway, so Iron Eyes did this PSA commercial. And what it was some quick shots of freeways, kind of very amateurishly done. Not in our memory, but if you look at it now, it was very, very, yeah, I think it was black and white, yeah. It was sort of like out of focus and it looked like it was shot from the window of a speeding car. And then sort of some garbage slops on the side of the road and then some garbage slops against this guy's legs. Yeah, and it's down on his feet and the camera pulls back and reveals this Native American who's standing there in traditional buckskins and feather, and with that wonderful face as he turned toward the camera, and that single tear. And to this day, people remember that. I mean, you guys, before I'm able to say it, you're telling me what it was. Now, since then, I mean, I don't know why, but people haven't done PSAs that way. Usually it's a mid-range celebrity talking head, cut to a stock shot of the redwoods and back to the celebrity. And it's aired between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. Only winos, insomniacs, and some of us. And the thing is, I started thinking about the form of a PSA, 30-second or 60-second, really, and I had the idea that as a feature-length movie is to a novel, a PSA is like a haiku. It's a very small amount of time where in a very simple and clean way, you present a couple of bits of information and then at the end you turn it all around. And that turning it all around, the information isn't in the actual lines, but it's in the relationship of the ideas, which sort of got me thinking. Now, as a state commissioner, I hobnob up there in Sacramento all the time. And I was hobbing and knobbing and I heard about Iron Eyes passing on, and I thought, or dropping his robe, as the Indians say, which is a concept that I've always loved. And I thought, gosh, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if they were still making PSAs that were that compelling? And I thought, well, and a couple of years ago, I made a kind of a pledge to myself to try to find the things in my life that I had experience in and that I love doing, to try to bring them together, do them, and make a living off, you know, without losing the joy. That's the tough thing, because I know that as an actor, having basically been married for a quarter of this century, I've very quickly learned that as a father and a husband, you really don't have the right to say no to money. And a career really is made more by the things you don't do than by the things you do, in many cases. And a lot of the people who have, you know, very high-profile careers have made those careers by choosing very specifically what they do, very carefully. I never had that option or that luxury. Basically, if they said, do you want to? And I would say, yes, I do. And then I'd go to Africa, or go to China, or go to Asia or something, and act and bring home the bacon. Anyway, so what they call cold call, which means just, you know, give me the calling information and saying, give me the number of so-and-so's office. Rusty Reyes, who's the new head of state parks in the state of California. And I said, Mr. Reyes, my name's Edward Albert, and I've got a couple of ideas and I'd like to talk to you. And I didn't know anything about it. I kind of checked with a couple of the rangers that I knew in my local area, and they seemed to think he was an okay guy. And so did I after he said, come on by. So I came on by. And I pitched, as they say in Hollywood, meaning I presented to him with all my heart